Hello, everybody. It's Paul Neeson with the Real Life Health Show, and I pray everyone's doing well out there. Many of you have been asking me questions about my 30-day fast, and it's been quite a while since I last broke my fast. And I wanted to discuss today about not overeating after breaking a fast. I have a good friend that actually fasted for 7 days and lost a very good amount of weight. And then I just seen him recently, and this is a good time afterwards, and he put on a lot of weight. He said the weight came right back. Well, the eating came right back. The overeating came right back. Whenever you break a fast, it's a good idea not to eat the same way you were eating before the fast, at least for half the amount of time you're fasting. So if you fasted 30 days for at least 15 days or 2 weeks, you want to eat half the amount you're normally eating. But my particular situation is I wasn't liking the pattern I was eating in prior to fasting. It's one of the reasons I fasted. And I'm monitoring my healing or my restructuring of my eating patterns and program based on my weight. I know what I weighed before I fasted. I know my body shape before I fasted. And now I get on the scale all the time, and I know what weight I need to stay around to know that I'm doing the things the right way. So several things I've done since my fast. I'm not eating throughout the day. I'm doing what I've always preached, and it's just eating 2 times a day and without eating in between. And the major thing I changed, which I told people, was instead of trying not to eat it late and eating close together and having one big eating window, I'm trying to separate that and making sure the previous food digests after the last food. But it's going wonderful. I'm following food combining pretty well. But the hardest part and one of the most important things about fasting, first of all, the first 3 days of a fast are very difficult. It's very difficult for people to fast the first 3 days, but after 3 days, it becomes more simple. But then breaking the fast is when people just start eating more than they've ever eaten before. One of the things I've done since I broke my fast is I'm still fasting 1 day a week just to remind me and humble me. But even after that 1 day fast, we can get tempted to overeat and overconsume our food. I know when people know they're going to fast, they eat a lot before they're fasting and they eat way too much after they fasted, which kind of defeats all the benefits of fasting to begin with. So you need to have discipline and make sure that when you're breaking the fast, you're not going back to the same way you were eating, but you're also not over-consuming food in general, because this creates more problems than anything else. It's called gluttony. And there's so many people that are gluttons out there, and this is a big problem that people are having today. So if you have any questions or you have anything like that, you can ask these questions about fasting or health in general. But you can always go to my website, rawlifehealthshow.com. Please see the video I made about my 30-day fasting experience. But I want to warn you again, whether you're fasting for 1 day or you're fasting for 1 week or 30 days, you want to be careful when you're breaking the fast. You want to make sure that you're not overdoing it or eating too much. How much is too much? Well, I have some videos that discuss that particular question of how much is too much. For me, I always say, if your gut is sticking out more than your chest, something is wrong. You're doing something too much. That's one of the bottom lines. If your gut is sticking out more than your chest, you need to either do some exercise to get your chest out, or you need to stop eating so much to get your stomach in. But that's a clear sign. And usually that happens when somebody's miscombining their foods, eating one meal on top of another, or constipated or something like that. So it's important to consider those things and possibly go on a fast if that is taking place and that's happening. Stop eating one meal after another before, one meal on top of another. Give your previous meal time to digest, at least 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 hours between meals. You don't need to be eating more than 2 times a day, and just be wise in what you're doing with your diet. I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult or complicated, but at the same time, it shouldn't be something that thought isn't put into. Don't just eat when you feel like you're eating or feel hungry, because many people eat with their eyes. Many people eat for habit, and many people eat, for various different reasons, but very few people are eating for literally true nutrition. So you want to be wise in your plan, your eating plan, and what you're doing with that and how you're doing it. And yes, I somebody's asking me if I use or still sell the stevia leaf. I have a green stevia leaf, which I still have, and I like sweetening things up with it. Yes, I do have that. Somebody says they eat one meal a day, and the one meal a day thing is okay, but the problem with that is how big is that one meal? And I know people that eat one meal a day, but I know people that eat one meal a day that lasts for hours. Okay, so your meal shouldn't last that long and be that complicated. And when you're eating one meal a day, the reason why I stopped eating one meal a day is because I like to eat fruit, and I also like to eat savory things like greens and nuts, but I don't like to mix them together because I don't believe they digest well. And if I'm eating one meal a day without eating all day, well, I can't do both. I have to choose one or the other. Yeah, I mean, one plan is I could do fruit one day and a savory meal the other day, but I don't want to do that. I want to get both of them in every day. So that's why I eat 2 times a day, really. Yeah, so I'm getting a question here about astaxanthin with heart issues. I think it's great. Nature doesn't make mistakes. Our creator is wise, and anything that looks like something is what it's good for. And astaxanthin is wonderful for the blood, and it helps the blood, and it also helps inflammation. It's excellent if you're having heart issues. I highly recommend it. And somebody's asking what foods are good after workouts to repair muscles. The best thing really is to take a nap and drink some water. You don't, all of these bodybuilding websites and all this about recovery and all these drinks and everything else. I mean, it depends how hard you're working out and what exactly you're doing. But I mean, bananas with water is the best sports drink out there. You don't need all these chemically loaded drinks that you find on the internet and so on. Somebody says, how should I start a water fast? Well, if you're not used to this, and I talk about this, start getting used to juice fasting, going without solid food, and then maybe start water fasting 1 day a week, and maybe you could do 1 week in a month, and then slowly but surely you'll be able to get more excited and more into it. And and then of course I'm getting a question about COVID-19. Somebody say, what will help with that? Well, if you have that, the best thing to take is the astaxanthin because it's a great inflammatory, and that's where the real issue comes in inflammation in the lungs and the water retention. So the astaxanthin that I have on rawlife.com from Velasta is the best thing. If you know somebody have COVID-19, please check with them. And the Green Star Pro is actually the juicer that I have, and I love it. It's one of my favorite juicers. And I haven't been juicing as much since I broke my fast. I juiced the first couple of days and then just did blended food. But before that, I was juicing a lot. I just it's summertime and fruit season right now, and I've been doing less of the juice. I do more in the winter because I have a garden with a whole bunch of greens. So I'll juice more in the winter, the fresh greens. But I still love to juice, and I'll be juicing here. And yeah, so I wanted to get on here and just remind you all about overeating. And, because my friend told me, he was on his fast. He lost all his weight. And it's great that some of the weight came back. And I lost almost 30 pounds when I fasted for 30 days. And I put on about 10 pounds. But the other 20 pounds I could have put on if I was eating the same way I was eating before I did the fast. But I'm not. I'm eating with more wisdom now and more self-control. So I put on about 10 pounds. I'm really happy with the weight where I'm at. And I'm going to keep it at that. But I just want to remind you because a lot of people have a tendency to overeat after the fast. And it can mess up the fast. So be careful with that. Okay. Wonderful. So if you have comments or questions, put them below the video. Remember, check out rawlifehealthshow.com. If you remember, you can get 10% off everything, including the astaxanthin. And just in general, stay wise. I've been doing a raw vegan diet for many, many years. And, it's important. Taking vitamin B12 is good. And, and get your blood work checked to make sure that's going okay. But fasting and detoxing is also very helpful. Eating a junk food vegan diet or junk food raw vegan diet is not necessarily the healthy way to do it. So do it with wisdom. Follow me and I'll help you. And I hope these tips helped you today. Please share this video with others. Have a great day and a great raw life.